April 10, 1912, the Titanic leaves Southampton on her maiden voyage. She is the largest, most luxurious ship ever built, and the world calls her unsinkable. 4 days later, over 1,500 people are dead, and the ship of dreams lies broken beneath 2.5 miles of icy Atlantic water. The official story says an iceberg did it, but what if that's not the whole truth? What if the Titanic's sinking was no accident at all, but a carefully planned disaster? What if powerful men stood to gain from the tragedy? Men who made sure the ship never reached New York. Tonight, we peel back 113 years of history to uncover the Titanic Conspiracy, the untold story that still haunts history. Setting the stage, the Titanic wasn't just a ship, it was a statement. Built by Harland and Wolff in Belfast for the White Star Line, she stretched nearly 900 feet long, with 9 decks, a grand staircase, swimming pool, gym, and lavish first-class suites. She was the pride of J.P. Morgan's International Mercantile Marine Company. Everything about her screamed power and wealth. The maiden voyage was a media event. Celebrities, businessmen, politicians, the creme de la creme of society boarded. But among them were also everyday families chasing the American dream. The Titanic had 20 lifeboats, enough for just over half her passengers and crew. But no one worried. After all, she was unsinkable. Still, not everyone was eager to board. Some of the wealthiest ticket holders canceled at the last minute, including J.P. Morgan himself. Coincidence, or something more? Strange warnings before disaster struck. Titanic received 6 iceberg warnings from other ships. 6. And yet, Captain Edward Smith pressed forward at near top speed, 22 knots, through a known ice field. Why would an experienced captain ignore so many warnings? Then, there's the odd case of passengers reporting unusual tension among the officers that night. Some survivors recalled officers avoiding questions about icebergs earlier in the day. And then, there's the list of no-shows. Morgan wasn't the only one. Henry Clay Frick, George Washington Vanderbilt, and Milton Hershey all canceled at the last moment. Were they just lucky, or did they know something? The Olympic switch theory. Here's where things get really interesting. The Titanic had a sister ship, the RMS Olympic. Nearly identical in design, but the Olympic was damaged in a collision months before Titanic's voyage. Repairs were costly. The ship was a financial disaster. Some conspiracy theorists believe the White Star Line secretly switched the two ships. The damaged Olympic was disguised as the Titanic and deliberately sunk for insurance money. Eyewitnesses claim subtle differences between Titanic's blueprints and the ship they boarded. Some survivors said the porthole patterns didn't match. If true, this wasn't just an accident, it was fraud on a massive scale, with human lives as collateral. The banking conspiracy. This theory takes a darker turn. In 1912, a battle was brewing over the creation of the U.S. Federal Reserve, a private central banking system. Some of America's wealthiest men opposed it, fearing it would concentrate power in the hands of a few. And wouldn't you know it, 3 of the most vocal opponents, John Jacob Astor, Benjamin Guggenheim, and Isidor Straus, all perished on the Titanic. Meanwhile, J.P. Morgan, who supported the Federal Reserve, survived because he didn't sail. Some believe the sinking was a convenient way to silence these men and remove obstacles to the Federal Reserve's creation. 1 year later, in 1913, the Federal Reserve Act was passed. Coincidence, or deadly politics at sea? The Californian mystery. Then there's the strange role of the SS Californian. The Californian was reportedly only 10 to 20 miles away from Titanic when she sank. Yet she didn't rush to help. The Californian's wireless operator had turned off his radio for the night, just minutes before Titanic's distress calls began. Some believe the Californian was meant to be part of a staged rescue, but for reasons still unknown, it failed to respond in time. Captain Stanley Lord of the Californian later claimed they saw mysterious lights in the distance that night, but didn't realize it was the Titanic until it was too late. Debunking and doubts. Of course, many historians dismiss these conspiracy theories. They point out there's no solid evidence of a ship swap, and sinking a vessel intentionally would be far riskier than repairing it. Insurance wouldn't cover deliberate sabotage. They also note that J.P. Morgan's absence can be explained by illness, and that last-minute cancellations were not uncommon for wealthy travelers. The iceberg warnings, they say, were routine for that route, and captains often relied on lookouts and speed to outrun danger. Still, these explanations don't satisfy everyone. Too many coincidences, too many unanswered questions. The closing mystery: when the wreck was discovered in 1985, explorers found surprising details, like rivet patterns and interior fittings that didn't entirely match Titanic's documented design. Were these simply construction quirks, or proof of a switch? Survivors described eerie moments, like the Californian's lights in the distance, or the calmness of certain crew members, as if they knew what was coming. More than a century later, the Titanic still keeps her secrets. Was it an iceberg, or was it something far more sinister? A plot to collect insurance, silence political opponents, or hide a deeper truth? We may never know for sure. But one thing is certain: on that cold April night, over 1,500 souls paid the ultimate price. And the question of why will haunt history forever. If you've made it this far, tell me in the comments: do you believe the Titanic was a tragic accident, or the result of a deadly conspiracy? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss the next deep dive into history's darkest mysteries.